You're watching Fox 10 Phoenix now.
Again with the Fox 10 News Alert here. We have live images overhead from Skyfox. This is in East Mesa near Haas and Main Street.
Let's bring in Skyfox pilot Troy Barrett to give us more of an explanation of what we're looking at here. Troy.
Good morning, guys. We have firefighters here from Mesa as well as Rural Metro working on this fire at this mobile home park here, and you can see that the structure itself is pretty much burned to the ground. Most of the firefighters now trying to get in there. It looks like a fairly complicated sort of property. There's a lot of awnings, a lot of things that it looks like maybe multiple buildings on this property that have all burned to the ground and kind of collapsed. So the firefighters right now, you can kind of see them down there. They're digging through some of that aluminum awning, trying to get underneath. There are still some hot spots down there, some smoke still coming out of the debris. So they're trying to get in there and get this fire fully out. So they're still working it right now, but you can see that most of the property itself has burned almost straight to the ground, with all the buildings that were on this property also burned as well.
Yeah, they can burn so fast, Troy, you know, and when a fire breaks out at 6 o'clock in the morning, one of the big worries is, were there people inside? That part we don't know yet, right?
That's correct. We haven't heard from anyone from MCSO or Mesa Fire about anyone that might have been inside, whether they got out or they were trapped inside. That's information we're still waiting to learn.
And early indications believe that there might have been two of these structures involved. Is that correct, or have we learned, is there just one?
It looks like this property is, I can only see one mailbox and one driveway here, so it looks like there could have been multiple structures on one property, so it was very close. There is this sort of outbuilding here that looks like it got a little bit of damage, but the actual property itself, it looks like there were multiple buildings on one small property.
All right, Troy Barrett live for us overhead in Skyfox. Troy, thank you so much for that. We'll check in with him in a brief moment. Now, several fires breaking out overnight around the valley, including two first alarm fires here in Phoenix.
Yeah, this first one happening at a popular restaurant in the West Valley. It was Lynn's Buffet, popular spot for people grabbing lunch or dinner at about 75th Avenue in McDowell. The fire started early this morning at about 3 a.m. But fire crews tell us smoke did enter the building and there was some damage. How bad, yet to be known. But it's also unclear if the restaurant will be open for business today. As soon as we learn more, we'll update you. And as we mentioned, there were two first alarm fires burning at the same time overnight in Phoenix. This is the other one. It was happening just off the I-17 where it intersects with the I-10 at the Purcell Tire Shop. Officials tell us multiple buildings were in flames when firefighters arrived. Crews managed to eventually get it under control before it could spread to any more businesses. Investigators now working to try to figure out what started that one. So developing in Scottsdale, 5 people hurt, including 2 children, after this bad crash last night a little after 8 p.m. It was near Via Linda and Shea. We're told the children and some of the other victims may have been trapped in the wreckage. And so the kids were eventually taken to PCH, Phoenix Children's Hospital, with injuries described as serious but not life-threatening. Still not clear what led up to the crash, but boy, the back end of that vehicle was just smashed.
Jeez.
Also developing, Scottsdale police say a security guard at a hospital was shot this weekend, and the suspected shooter is a patient.
Yeah, this is a pretty wild story and pretty frightening here to happen in a hospital. The shooting was yesterday afternoon in the ER of Honor Health Shea Medical Center. This is the Loop 101 and Shea Boulevard. They're right off the freeway. So this was during an argument. Police say the shooter was brought to the ER by a family member over some medical concerns. He was quickly detained by other security members and hospital staff, and police then took him into custody. The wounded security guard transferred to a hospital with a trauma center.
We already had officers responding to a call of a disturbance at the ER when it actually escalated in real time as officers were responding to this call. And so there was some credible information from the beginning that this was not someone who just randomly walked in and started any kind of violence, that it was already an incident that was already occurring in the emergency room that had escalated.
That was Scottsdale PD there giving us additional details on what was happening there to give us some perspective. Police describing the incident as isolated. So they say the hospital is open and safe for patients in need of care. The suspect's name has not yet been released.
Well, one man is dead, another in the hospital with a gunshot wound after a double shooting in Guadalupe. It happened about 5 Sunday morning near Avenida del Yaqui and Calle Guadalupe. Deputies found 2 men who had been shot. One died right there on scene. The other went to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Still not clear what led up to the violence. 2 months into the new year, we've already seen a wave of layoffs. According to Challenger, Gray, and Christmas, a firm that helps people transition in careers and find new jobs, U.S. companies fired nearly 50,000 workers in January alone. Add that to the rising number of federal workers who have lost jobs as part of the cuts in government spending via DOGE. And so you can imagine there are plenty of folks really thinking about it.
Yeah, and so some of these job cuts that we are experiencing here around the nation, fear, anxiety setting in with a whole lot of people.
We got Ryan Naylor here. He's the founder of localwork.com. So how can people, even if they haven't been directly impacted, but they're concerned about it, how can they deal with the stress and make a plan?
Well, I think one of the biggest things to understand is a lot of these job cuts have been very company specific. There's a lot of companies that maybe overhired coming out of COVID. They were excited. Things didn't go as planned accordingly. So they're pulling back. They're getting back to profitability, kind of addressing shareholders' demands. But I think a lot of people that maybe fear their job is on the line, the biggest thing you can do is get involved in your trade, your craft, your association, find a mentor, find a group that you can network with.
How long do you think is, Ryan, the bounce back? Let's say you are laid off and you try to make some of those connections. What's kind of like the general timeline on how long you could be out of a job? What does the workplace situation look like these days?
Yeah, really good question. I think this is going to be very job specific because there are industries that are still in really high demand. You might be laid off at one corporation, but you'll find that the industry as a whole is actually still hiring quite aggressively. So the biggest thing I can say is really lean into what the recruiters, what the companies are saying in the job description. When they say mandatory requirements, what are you doing to address those? Are you increasing your skill sets to show that you have those skills?
And you know, when you mentioned networking a minute ago, I guess that's really the great fallback position. If you've lost that job, you want to hit the ground running. If you have new contacts, you know, that's the way potentially that you could turn things around, I guess, maybe within weeks, if not a few months.
One of the best things about this area is the high concentration of small business owners. And those small business owners love to network. And so you have trade associations and groups. This has got to be one of the most active regions for networking in the U.S. And I think that if people dive into that, whether you're job seekers or small business owner, regardless, getting involved in that community of your trade really can make a difference.
Networking means, Ron, happy hours.
Oh, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, and show up dressed like Ryan.
I thought we were
Ryan's dressed
talking
up
about
in a suit.
working the phones, the old-fashioned actual conversations with people, right?
If folks want to get some more information, Ryan, and obviously your wealth of knowledge, how do they find you?
Yeah, jump on our website on localwork.com. We talk about a lot of the job tips that we can help in the area.
Okay. Ryan,
Great
good to see
website,
you.
too, localwork.com.
Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan.
Comic book themed Comicx restaurant has closed its doors and now it's selling off a ton of memorabilia.
Imagine having a life-size Spider-Man statue right in your entryway.
Oh, or the Hulk.
Oh, that would be even scarier. Danielle is live to show us what's on the auction block for you to bid on. I bet Millery would love one of those, Danielle.
She loves Spider-Man. That's what she was for Halloween. So yes, I can bring home Spider-Man to her. So many rare opportunities to be able to have something like this in your home. So we're here at the Comicx. It's the restaurant. Many people have come here. It's been here for about 5 years or so, Desert Ridge Marketplace. And unfortunately, they're closing. But we have Gabriel here with localauctions.com. You decided, because you came here before, and once you heard it was closing, you're like, hey, You called the owner and said, I think this is a great opportunity to auction this stuff off.
Yeah, absolutely. Me and my son have been coming here for quite a long time. And so we heard when it was closing, we reached out to the owner and said, hey, we can help auction everything off for you guys.
Amazing. And this is, you typically do restaurant liquidations. We're talking ovens and stoves and restaurant equipment, but this is very unique.
It is. So this is the only location in the United States for Comicx. And unfortunately, it's closed. So all the stuff up for auction is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to be able to bid on this stuff.
Yeah, it is amazing. And talk about some of the memorabilia in here. You walking through, it's very cool stuff.
It is. So most of it was commissioned by the owners for this location, so it was built custom for this restaurant. And there's some cool pieces. Most of them are life-size. Most of them are custom-made. The Hulk's about 12 feet tall. There's Superman, there's Batman, there's the Terminator, Simpsons. I mean, if you can think of it, it's in here.
Yeah, and everything starts at just $5.
It does.
Okay.
So everything needs to be sold and removed from the property. So everything's being auctioned off. Anybody who's interested can go to the localauctions.com website. It's currently open for bidding now, so they can actually go through, see the items that are listed, what the current bids are. And if they're interested, they can create a free account, place their bids. We have an open house today from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for anybody that wants to come in and preview anything in person. And online bidding will end tomorrow starting at noon. And then the highest bidder, all they have to do is pay and come and pick up the items.
And about how much are we talking? I know obviously it's an auction, and it's $5, starting bid. But what are you expecting? What do you think is going to happen?
You know, I think because it's so unique and this restaurant was so popular, we expect a pretty good turnout of participation. Again, I don't know if everybody needs a Terminator in their game room.
Come on.
Or some
Everyone
Simpsons.
has to have that.
But there's some really, really cool stuff in here for collectors. But yeah, everything just needs to be sold and removed. So bids start at $5, and whatever it sells for, it sells for.
And you were even saying some of the facades. So there's some of the scenes, if you will, that are for sale as well.
So a lot of the facades are also included in the auction. A lot of the decor, the build-outs, but even the restaurant equipment, the tables, the chairs, the restaurant supplies. This place was known for a lot of their desserts. A lot of their their s'mores machines that were tabletop. Those are all in the auction. All the barware, TVs, everything that's in here that you see is up for auction.
Amazing. Once again, you guys can come here today. It's an open house. You guys can come look at things. Gabriel, one more time, what is your website? And it closes tomorrow at noon, this auction. Okay.
So anybody who's interested can go to localauctions.com. They can go through the auction and see everything that's listed. All they have to do is register if they want to place their bids. Preview again is today from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then the online auction is open till tomorrow at noon, and it'll begin closing. And if you win, all you got to do is pay and come and pick up the items.
Come and pick it up. That is one thing. You have to take it away yourself. So bring a truck, folks. All right, we'll send it back to you guys.